Tristan Law Show. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Tristan Law, some retired pro wrestler, and today, I'm your host. Well, you know, for those of you that are familiar with the channel, 830 Wrestling Network, the Tristan Law Show, I have a shocking revelation to make. I watched Revolution, that's right, my revelation is I watched Revolution. I watched MJF versus Hangman at AEW Revolution. And I've got to be honest, it was entertaining. It was entertaining, but the more I watched it, the more I sat through the match, I understand exactly why AEW does matches like this. And that's the understanding that raises a bigger question for me. Was it too much for pro wrestling? I was watching this thing live. Okay, not live, but I was watching it this morning before I went to the track, right? I had this episode idea down. Is this the image of MJF and Hangman Adam Page doing what they do in the ring? I was like, this is a little bit too much. Let's do an episode for this, because, all right, I'm not going to lie. Maybe we might be a little bit WWE biased on this channel, but you know what? We still love pro wrestling. So I said, let me sit down and watch this match. I watched the match, and here's one thing that I can admit. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the match. And this is coming from a WWE guy, right? But what means even so much more is that the crowd is into it. And the intensity in the match, it feels real. The stakes in the match, they were super high. In that match, I felt like the entire time, like MJF, like Hangman, Adam Page, like Adam Page really wanted to do MJF in. Based on what I know about the character of MJF, I feel like he deserved every single thing that he was getting. And this is hard-hitting. I can't even lie. But I can feel it trying to outdo itself moment by moment. Moment by moment, what they were doing were they were stacking these moments on top of each other, and I didn't hate it. I did watch Dynamite. I watched AEW Dynamite on Monday. Golly. I watched AEW Dynamite on Thursday, and I did it with the Discord group. Feel free to join the Discord. It's free. The link is in the description of this episode. We talk about wrestling and pretty much a bunch of other things in there, so come and join us. But in that episode, I saw the match between, I can't remember his name, but one of the guys was the guy with the hat, Darby Allin. It was against Darby Allin and somebody else. And I'm just like, why? Why? Like this is not wrestling. But watching the match with Adam Hangman Page and MJF, I didn't watch it from AEW. I didn't watch it with the television presentation. I watched it from somebody standing there holding their phones in their hand for 45 minutes. And I said, man, that crowd felt like it was such a great place to be in, right? That's just me being honest as a WWE guy, and as a guy who's partially fed up with the fact that WWE is charging an arm and a leg for us to come to their show, and I'm interested in going to an AEW show. I was interested in going to the Jay-Z concert at Yankee Stadium, but then when I saw the prices, I was like, wait a minute, he is married to Beyonce. I ain't going to that. I'm saving my summer money, and I'm going to try to go to AEW Double or Nothing or All Out, All In, whichever it is. That's where I'm going to be trying to go. I saw the people in the crowd at AEW having such a great time. You didn't get to hear the announcers because it was somebody pretty much holding their phone, and it works. It works, right? Why does AEW do this? DR Rice, I see you in the chat. What's going on? He has a very interesting comment. Let me read that comment before I keep going. That comment is, AEW markets itself as we're the best wrestle, but they do all of these extra no-rule stipulation matches. You know what? I don't disagree with you. But let me explain to you why I think from me watching that match. Remember, if you're just joining, we're talking about why AEW does the kind of matches like the death match between Hangman Adam Page and MJF for the AEW Championship. I'm going to tell you why. It serves their audience. That's really what it is, right? Their AEW is not trying to be everything for everyone, right? When it's for looking at the audience. Who is it for? And I'm not saying nothing bad against anybody, right, who doesn't like AEW or get AEW. This is from a guy who was raised in the Northeast, who learned pro wrestling from people that wrestle in the WWE and that were born in and raised in the Northeast. That's who I learned wrestling from, people that grew up watching WWF, WWE. AEW markets itself towards adults. There are no children in the crowd. Look, from the viewpoint that I had, there's no children in the crowd. There are hardcore pro wrestling fans in there and people who want that edge. That's what they want. That's what they want. Look, I'm not saying that there weren't any kids at an AEW event, but piggybacking off the last episode that I did, where I said that we were talking about the lengths of the pay-per-views, the PLEs, that AEW has I'm just throwing out numbers, it's not real, that AEW has a 10-hour pay-per-view, while WWE has a 2-hour pay-per-view. How? It makes sense now. It makes sense from the viewpoint that I was watching it. WWE caters itself to the children. AEW caters itself to the adults. So AEW is not concerned about having to, let everybody go home early because they got to put the kids to bed. No, the people that have to wake up early and take the kids to school are at AEW. That's where they are. Going to AEW as an adult, I can see me saying, you know what, son, you like pro wrestling, but this one ain't for you. This one is for me. WWE is for the kids, right? Like I said, the people taking kids to school are in that building. That's why they can be there till after midnight. And then you probably still have an hour commute home, right? Okay, granted, it was in LA, right? 12, 11, 10, 9. So these people didn't get home till like 10 o'clock, right? I'm curious to how AEW is going to do it when they get to New York in a couple months. Because I think there's a curfew in New York to where they got to be out of the ring by 11. So what they going to do, pay the fine? DRI says that one of my main issues with AEW lately is that they chock their TV full of matches, that they prostitute their pay-per-views for the sake of having a match-heavy TV every week. Yeah, I could see that. And this is from a guy who doesn't watch AEW, who I only started watching AEW so I can participate in the conversation with the members of the Discord chat for the 830 Wrestling chat, right? And if you want to join the Discord, it's free. It's free to join the Discord. I'm pointing down because I'm looking for you to go touch the link in the description to go join. It's free. It don't cost you nothing. Just come hang out for a bit. I understand that. They're trying to sell their pay-per-view, right? They're not so concerned. WWE spends so much time on the R-Truths and the Americanos and the Danhausens. They spend so much time on that being honest with the way that AEW is, and this is not a slight towards anybody that watches AEW, Danhausen wasn't made for AEW. Danhausen was made more for WWE. And I think that Danhausen doesn't ever need to win a championship or at this point even have a match at WWE to be over, right? A new episode of WWE Main Event came out, and I want to check it out after we're done with this just to see if Danhausen appears on there. Because Danhausen is going to make so much money in the WWE. Why? Because of the way that they present their kind of pro wrestling. Why? Because of the machine behind the merchandise, right? That's something that Danhausen wouldn't have gotten, right? The kids are the people that are going to be dressing up as Danhausen on Halloween. Adults will dress up as Danhausen, right? But not so much as the kids. What AEW did by putting on the kind of death match that they had, what AEW does by having the matches, the presentation that they had, there's a conversation in the group chat this morning. And I think it might have been DRI. Shout out to you.
Yeah!
He was asking me, how do I feel about the tag team matches when there's no tags? I said, well, then it's not a tag team match. It's just a team match. In WWE, that's a no-no. That is not happening in a traditional tag team match for the tag team titles. In AEW, it works. Let me tell you why. AEW has told a certain pro wrestling fan, hey, come here. You're safe. Right? The fans who wanted more violence, if you wanted more violence in your pro wrestling, go to AEW. You're not going to get it from the WWE. It's not happening. You want things with less restriction? You go over to AEW, don't go to WWE. That's not giving it to you. A lot of people say that the TV presentation for AEW is not as great as the WWE, but you know what? I'm being honest with you right now. As a guy who does not watch AEW every single week, I'm being honest with you, none of that matters. AEW doesn't need the polish that WWE has. If you're watching AEW, you're watching it because you feel, I feel like if you're watching AEW, you feel disenfranchised. You feel disenfranchised when it comes to pro wrestling because when ECW closed and when WCW closed, you no longer had that safe space anymore. And let me say this about AEW fans. When I'm saying safe space, I'm not meaning soft. I mean that you, as an AEW fan, you don't have to compromise what you like. AEW has created a safe space for pro wrestling fans to come out there and take wrestling the way that they want it. When we are watching WWE, they are catering to the kids. WWE wants to put a smile on everybody's face. AEW wants you to be like, yo, that was crazy. Watching Hangman Adam Page and MJF, that match was crazy. It was off the wall. Would I ever expect it in the WWE? Hell no. Hell to the nah. It ain't happening. But do I expect seeing something like that at AEW again? Yes. 100%. For AEW creating that safe space, they're saying, you know what? It's okay for you to come here. It's okay for us to not follow the rules, right? That was one of the biggest compromise. That was one of the biggest complaints that I had in the beginning. AEW makes these rules and they don't even really follow them. But here's the question. Who invented the rules? Let's see, if I had to choose who invented the rules, let's see, WWE open up here, and ECW open here, NWA, WCW closed, WWE. WWE created the rules because WWE was the company that was around after WCW closed. WWE ran around unchecked since 2000 and 2000? I think it's 2000 when WCW closed. WWE ran around unchecked. Nobody to say, hey, you know what? Let me just elbow you a little bit so you can feel a little bit. People have tried. TNA has tried and TNA has failed. There's so many. Ring of Honor didn't even try. There's so many different people that came close to that wanted to change the narrative. So what happens? It all created in all these little spin-offs. You had CZW. You had you even got what is it, GCW now? You got all these different companies that spun off to give everybody what they want. Now, what WWE is doing is they're just staying within their lane. You know what? Let them do that over there. They're the ones WWE created the rules, and AEW's like, hey, we're going to break them because they're the ones that create the rules on their show. I'm sure that the WNBA has different rules than the NBA. I'm sure that, the XFL has different rules from the NFL. So why is it that AEW can't have different rules from WWE? And this is from a guy that has criticized AEW for their presentation. I don't think it's fair to AEW. I don't think it's fair to WWE to even try to hold them to a light to AEW because it's different. I am probably the only guy in the world that loved the Ghostbusters with the woman. Loved it with the woman. Nobody else loved it. Nobody else loved it. And one of the things that I used to always say is, let's not try to hold that Ghostbusters to the same exact candle as what the men did, because it's not fair. But I wanted to be one of the ones that held the AEW to the candle of WWE. And you know what? Even though I'm taking accountability for it, I want to say this to everybody else. It's not your fault that you felt that way. You only felt that way because all you knew if you were watching mainstream wrestling. And when I'm talking about mainstream wrestling, I only consider WWE, AEW, and maybe TNA as mainstream wrestling. Those are the mainstream wrestling companies. The ones with all the money that can do pretty much almost anything that they want. Mainstream wrestling is the most popular. They're backed by companies that have all this money. AEW was just trying to say, let's just be different. And that's okay. DRI says that Landstorm, you famously said that ECW broke rules and then they found out why there are rules in the first place. Yeah! You're right. You know what? I don't dispute what Landstorm is saying. I don't dispute what you're saying, my guy DR Rice, or Dr. Rice. Maybe that's what it means, right? Dr. Ice. Maybe you're a Dr. Ice. Whatever. Who cares? But the thing is, you're right. Rules are in place for a reason. But who made the rules? WWE made the rules and said that everybody was supposed to follow them? Why can't somebody else start their own league and do the rules? I think that the people that really enjoy AEW, they don't wrap their minds around the rules. So here's what I'm going to do. Oh, his name is David. Oh, okay. What's up, David? Let me hit you with that. I think the people that watch AEW and really enjoy AEW don't get themselves too caught up with what's happening. They just live in the moment, right? Where people like us are just watching from above and just saying, oh, well, the way that they do it in the WWE, what if the way that the WWE was doing it hasn't been right? Right? What if we have just been bamboozled, okie doke, and flim flam by the propaganda engine of the WWE to believe what we're watching is right? Who says that to a diehard AEW fan? They don't care maybe that there was a tag team match on the pay-per-view for tag team championships and not one tag. But people like me care about that. Because essentially you can't tell me that it's a tag team match and then when I watch a tag team match, there's no tagging. Doesn't make sense to me. Let me tell you about it. Let me give you some tidbits that I thought about the match itself between MJF and Hangman Adam Page, a death match for the AEW World Championship. And I want to be fair. I'm going to be saying this in all fairness. I'm not bashing AEW. Just ride with me for a second. It was violent. It was chaotic. But it wasn't just mindless. It wasn't just chaos. My kind of pro wrestling, I love storytelling in my wrestling. There was storytelling in that wrestling. That story doesn't need that match, that death match between Adam Page and MJF. That match, that story doesn't need that level of violence. But because just something works doesn't mean that it's unnecessary, right? The story itself that MJF and Hangman Adam Page were telling, that match could have been settled in a simple pro wrestling match. But they decided they want to go out there and hit each other with light tubes. They want to cover each other in barbed wire. They want to throw each other through glass, even though I thought the window glass was a gimmick. That's not the point. They want to beat each other from now until Thy Kingdom Come. I agree that they didn't need it, but you know what? It worked. They told a story in it. There's a time that I was wrestling a street fight. And the reason why sometimes you see a street fight is because it's to protect the other opponent so that they don't get exposed if they can't wrestle. So the other guy that I was wrestling, wasn't really too good wrestler, but the promoter said, go ahead and do a street fight. Safe? Nah, we're not talking about that right now. And I'm not saying that MJF or Hangman Adam Page can't wrestle. I'm not saying that at all. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is this. When I was wrestling in that match, that guy wanted to go ding, 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 go to the tables and the chairs and everything else right away. And I was like, no, brother, slow down. Because if we go to the tables and the chairs now, what is it that we're going to have to offer the people later on? We have to take our time. And I think that's something that MJF and Hangman, Adam Page, they did. They didn't rush. They took their time. There was no rush. So what does too much mean for me, though, right? Because I did open the show by saying that it was too much. What does it mean for me? Again, the glass, I think it was a gimmick. Okay? It wasn't real glass because there's no, look, if you're playing with real shards of window pane glass, my God, I'm getting squeamish thinking about it. I'm talking about full out lacerations, cuts. Like I'm talking about go to the meat market and slice off a piece of meat like that's what it would look like. But that's okay, right? They're still simulating the gimmick of, it still got the reaction across that when the glass was broken and everybody, and they were throwing in the glass, they were still oohs and ahs. It worked. The barbed wire, I think the barbed wire was a gimmick as well too, because Hangman Adam Page was handling it with no gloves. The light tubes though, the light tubes is the line for me. That's where it stops feeling like wrestling and it starts feeling like a fight. DR Rice said the syringe spot was just way too much. Bro, I didn't understand that one. But it's a you know what?
Yeah!
It's a death match thing, from what I understand. The syringe thing, death match wrestling was never my style of wrestling when I wrestled. People always say, oh, well, why don't you do death match wrestling? Certain matches that I didn't do hardcore matches or those other kind of matches because I had to show up to work on Monday. And I can't tell my boss, oh, well, I can't show up to work because somebody beat my brains in. That's not happening, right? My boss is the one hooking me up and allowing me to go to these wrestling shows, right? But here's one thing that I did see online, though. Deathmatch wrestling is not new. And shout out to MJF for wearing the Terry Funk tights. One thing I did see online, somebody had a really good comment about it. And they said, you know what? I don't like deathmatch wrestling. I even hate deathmatch wrestling. But I'm so glad that deathmatch wrestling was done in a place to where the people could actually make some money. I said, you know what? Damn, I can't even argue with that. I can't argue with that. When you're watching deathmatch wrestling, these people are not making as much money as MJF and Hangman Adam Page did. So now I'm going to make this statement right here. Austin's in the chat. What's going on, Austin? He said it's too much in AEW. We got a poll going. Oh, damn it. Got a survey going on that says, is deathmatch wrestling too much in AEW? Right now, it's deadlocked. 3-way. 33.33%. It depends on the match story. No, it's a part of the appeal. And yes, it crosses the line. The votes are split, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to walk back what I said. I would never do a death match. I would never do a hardcore match. But if I'm making the money that I'm making in AEW, why the hell not? Why the hell not, right? Is it too much in AEW? I don't think so. I think it works for AEW. I think it's perfect for AEW. Does it work for WWE? No. Hell no. Hell no. It doesn't work for AEW. One of the things that I said earlier, if you are just joining us, one of the things that I said earlier, Fernando's here. I want to read Fernando's message because Fernando said something that I just saw the first couple of sentences. Let's see what Fernando says. And welcome, Fernando. Fernando says, deathmatch wrestling is awesome. The people who are complaining about it are acting like little B words. It's all right. You can say it. Fernando wants to say bitches. We that don't like deathmatch wrestling are acting like little bitches. And that's all right. You know, Fernando, I made this, I said this earlier. You know, I know you were here for the last episode when we were talking about AEW running too long and WWF, golly, what year am I in? WWE having short PLEs and only a couple matches. It makes sense. I didn't watch the MJF and Hangman Adam Page death match on AEW television. I didn't have the privilege of listening to the announcer. I didn't have none of that. What I did have the privilege, though, of watching it with somebody who was just holding their phone in the audience. They were just holding their phone in the audience. And by them doing that, I was able to sit down and I'm like, all right, I get it. I understand. Bro, there's no kids in the audience. There's no kids. So you can't say, oh my God, that's too violent for the kids. The AEW pay-per-view finished about after midnight. So I think that match went about 45 minutes long. So if we're looking at 45 minutes long on that match, right? That means the match started maybe after 11. After 11. Maybe both men in the ring by 11:15. I don't know who needs to hear this, but 11:15 on a school night, your kid should have been in bed already. Maybe that's why AEW does their shows on a Sunday night and WWE does the majority of their shows on Saturday. WWE does Saturday, AEW does the majority of theirs on Sunday. Why? Because AEW doesn't care if you got to take your kids to school tomorrow. This ain't for the kids, right? This ain't for the kids. So that's a very good call out. Fernando says, MJF versus Hangman is my match of the year so far. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. Fernando? And this is coming from a guy, your bro, who is a WWE guy. I'm going to tell you this. I liked MJF and Hangman Adam Page. Didn't hate the match at all. Didn't hate it at all. Why? Because I felt like they weren't just senselessly beating each other. The story that went into the match itself, that is a match that I want to cover on the Pro Wrestling Scorecard one day. That was a great match to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed the match. And I'm like, it wasn't 45 minutes of them beating each other up. Really, what I saw it as is 45 minutes was MJF getting what he deserves. Fernandez says, was Abdullah the Butcher crossing the line for me? Yes, all that's crossing the line. I don't want to watch anybody running around with blood. That's not my thing. But you know what? In an AEW, it works. It's perfect for AEW. What Abdullah the Butcher was doing, and Abdullah the Butcher got, hepatitis from it. A lot of them guys used to cut each other and bleed into each other and like swap blood and stuff like that, you know what? In this day and age, it's a lot different. I'm 100% sure, without working for AEW, when MJF and Hangman Adam Page are bleeding on, over, and in each other, that they all had tests that they can say, here's my test. Here's my test to show that I don't have anything, that I'm all good. Austin said, I love blood, chairs, tables, and steel pipes. Steps, chairs, ring bell, but no syringe. I don't understand the syringe.
Thank you.
Fernandez says, what about New Jack and Sandman in ECW. Wait, hold on. Let me go back up. Because there's another chat that goes into it. Let me read it down. DR Rice says that Tony Khan has gone on record for saying that AEW's priced for families. I think AEW's priced for families, but AEW's not putting on a show for families. They're not at all. You can bring your kids, but you know what, this ain't really for your kids though, right? I think that AEW is priced cheap enough that all the bros can go. I'm willing to spend $300 at the AEW show that's coming to sit as close as I can, and I want to be there. I'm probably going to be wearing, not going to lie, probably going to be wearing maybe the Protect Kayfabe shirt, you know, or the, you know, Bad Booking, you know, club shirt, you know, might wear one of those when I go to that AEW show. It is my life's dream to go to an AEW show this year, because maybe I can't connect with AEW watching it on the television, but maybe what I can do is I can connect to, and you can get your merch at 830mg.com/shop. If you're in the Discord, there's a discount code floating around in the Discord. If you don't see it, just put out a message. Hey, what is the discount? And I will make sure that you guys have the discount in the Discord. You know, because you know what? You guys are in the Discord. You guys are the core. You guys are the core. And I think that it's only fair that I can give you guys a little something. Why not, right?
Thank you.
I want to go to an AEW show this year. I can't connect by watching on TV 100% because I watched Dynamite, and my friend texts me. He goes, hey, how was Dynamite? I said it was something to watch. After a certain time, I would have turned off the TV. That's normally how I do with Dynamite. I don't watch it all the way through. But I'm thinking that I might find a new love for AEW if I watch it live from there with the other bros in the audience. DR Rice says, Abdullah the Butcher was a draw. He was special. You only saw Abby maybe once a year, and the story was really good.
Yeah!
Fernandez says, what about New Jack and Sandman in ECW? Honestly, for me, I was too young. The closest that I ever got, I saw ECW staying up late at night in the Bronx, watching it on public access. I've never really seen the true blood, guts, and gore of ECW until I became older and watching it like, you know, in arrears when it already happened. I never got to watch it live. I did have ECW Hardcore Revolution. I did have ECW, whatever the first video game was. I had both video games. And I remember playing and seeing the blood and thinking nothing of it. It's just how things happen. So I didn't have any issue with it then. And granted, you know, I was a kid back then, so, you know, anything, you know, that I wasn't supposed to be watching was great. We all know that as kids. DR Rice says, Swerve drank blood in the ring. I wish there was a gagging drop that I had that I can play of somebody gagging up. It's nasty. Austin Roberts said, I really liked MJF versus Hangman. 4 out of 5 story. Good violence. Good except the syringe and the light tubes, maybe even glass. Look, I don't think the glass was real. Look, I have stood on business before and said that the chairs are real. The tables are real. None of that is a gimmick. None of that's a flim-flam, okey-doke, or a scam. But I'll tell you this, that glass like that, window pane glass is dangerous. Them dudes are supposed to have deep cuts. They were in Hollywood, California, right? They were in California somewhere. I think that it could have been maybe some kind of like sugar glass or like plastic resin, something like that. Something that wasn't going to dig deep and give you shots. It was a good match. I liked how they led with the glass, then they went up to the chair shots. They went up to the dog collar and stuff like that. Like MJF is he's just an entertainer all through and through. If you are a WWE fan and you're an adult and have not watched MJF versus Hangman Adam Page, I think you might be doing yourself an injustice. Johnny5895, never seen him before, but welcome. Listen to this. Johnny says, as a fan of old school CZW, I want to see a weed whacker used in AEW. AEW, this is proving my point that AEW is for a certain kind of fan. For a fan who wants more than what the WWE is offering. Look, I'm not trying to make this too crazy because it's only 12 o'clock in the afternoon and we need a Tristan Wall show after dark for me to really get into this. But some people, they are into different kind of freaks, right? Whatever kind of things that you like. Some people like it vanilla and some people like it hardcore. You know what? As long as everybody's safe and everybody's consenting and you're okay with people watching, why is there a problem? You know what? Bring the weed whacker. I would have loved to see a weed whacker. And if you don't understand what the weed whacker is, the little plastic things that they use to cut down the grass, that thing hurts because I've hit myself with it before. I am not upset as a WWE guy what Johnny was saying. Yeah, Johnny, that was good. That was good. Fernando says that, DR Rice says, no, let me go up for a little bit because I think this comment here is very important. What I'm about to read. It's from Fernando. Fernando says, I watched MJF versus Hangman with my 7-year-old son, and he loves it. Maybe not for my 3-year-old son, but I don't think there's nothing wrong with that at all. You see, when I was younger, right, I used to always hang out with people that were older than me because the people that were older than me weren't doing things to try to go to jail. The people that are around my age group, some of them were doing things to try to go to jail. And I remember my friend used to watch scary movies and his kid used to be there. And I used to ask, like, is this not too scary for them? He goes, when you get a kid, one of the things you realize is that every kid is different. I explained to them that is pretend and that it's not real and whatever, and they enjoy it. And I think that, what's up, Heel Vega? I think that by Fernando, I think that it's okay that Fernando, and I'm not saying that it matters what I think of how Fernando watches wrestling with his kid. What I'm saying is I think it's okay. I think it's great that Fernando watched that match with his son, who is 7 years old, because it makes sense, right? Because if his son had any questions, he could answer them right then and there. And I'm sure that Fernando, and I'm on a limb here, and I'm a big guy, even though I lost a little bit of weight. I mean, on the track running. I don't want to say that this is the first kind of like death match, hardcore match that Fernando's ever watched with his son. I'm sure what Fernando did was he ramped him up just a little bit, and said, all right, cool, I can have him watch it. And he's watching and observing his son's reaction to how he's doing. He said, you know what, my son could handle this. Now, if his son is walking around in school, 7 years old, trying to hit people with a chair or try to tie a dog collar to their neck, you know what? Maybe we have a problem, right? Because, look, I'm not going to lie. I walked around middle school telling my teachers to suck it. What was I telling them to suck? I don't know, because I didn't know nothing about suck at the time. That's what I did. Shout out to you, Fernando. Shout out to you. I do want to take a second to let you guys know that the merch store is up. The number one shirt in it right now is the Bad Booking Club shirt. You can get the Protect Kayfabe shirt, Protect Kayfabe, Bad Booking. It's all available at 830mg.com/shop. Just go ahead and just check it out. See what you like. I'll be adding new shirts monthly. And if you order a shirt, no matter how many you order, there's a special gift that I'm giving you in the shirt, in the package. And if you want to, you can keep it for yourself. If not, you can share it with somebody else. I can tell you what it is, but you know what? I paid so that you guys could all get a little gift when you go ahead and get the shirt. I appreciate you guys that have already bought shirts and other merch supporting the show. This is a lot more than just a crazy guy talking about wrestling during the week. We're building a community here. And there's a lot of you guys that are going to be able to say, hey, look, this is proof that I'm a day one. You're going to be like, oh, I'm in the Discord under this. I'm a day one. I got a shirt. I'm a day one. So you know what? I appreciate, your guys' friendship. I appreciate, you guys hanging out with me. I appreciate you. Heel Vega says, respect the teachers. Let's see what else we get. Johnny said, Johnny, I like this. I like this, Johnny. Johnny said that AEW can also be known as alternative elite wrestling. You know what? Why didn't they call it that before? If they look, I am a guy who had an issue with AEW not following the rules, and I'm using quotation because I'm like, who made up the rules? I had an issue with them not following the rules. But you know what? When ECW came out, ECW wasn't following the rules. They made up their own rules and did some crazy things, and look what they did. They went out of business. But you know what? We can learn from the mistakes of the past. We can still disregard the rules and still do what we do. I think that AEW is doing a great job putting on a show for the hardcore wrestling fans, the fans that need a little bit more than R-Truth, not knowing what town that he's in. A little bit more than, a guy coming out with a lantern and sitting in a rocking chair. They need a little bit more than a guy who is trying to bury people and calls himself The Undertaker. That's okay. Will I watch AEW Dynamite again? I think I will. Will I enjoy it? I don't know. But I'm really eager to go in person. And I know that you guys are going to be like, yo, I can't wait to hear what I tell you guys from going in person. I am making it my business to go to All Out, All In. I don't know which one it is, but I'm going. Let's go into the chat. Back into the chat. I'm giving you guys some chat time before we close out the show. Fernando says, listen to this. Fernando says, I was 8 or 9 when I saw The Exorcist with my older siblings. Bro, I remember seeing The Wizard of Oz, and I was 7 years old, and I was petrified. I couldn't move out of my bedroom because I was like, wherever I'm going to go, the rich is just going to poof into the room and come get me. I was an idiot. I saw Cujo as a young kid. I was afraid of dogs for a very, very, very long time. So I guess it all depends on the kid. Heel Vega says the name of the show is Double or Nothing. Look, bro, Double or Nothing. All In, All Out, All or Nothing, Double or In. I don't know. I'm going to buy the ticket, and I'm going to go, and I'm willing to spend at least $300 to sit as close as I can. Johnny says, I saw Cherokee, Lacey, and Pinky when I wasn't supposed to. Johnny, I don't know what Cherokee is, and I don't know what Lacey is, and I don't know what Pinky is. But I think I know what Cherokee, Lacey, and Pinky is, Johnny. Behave yourself. It's only 12:46 in the afternoon on the East Coast, all right? Look, for those of you who don't know, I think I know what Johnny's talking about. Also says, I like most things in AEW. I try to enjoy both WWE and AEW. Look, you know what? Yeah. There should be no tribalism. Right? But I'm being honest with you. When it comes to the tribalism between WWE and AEW, I'm going to be honest with you right now. Hear me out with what I'm telling you. The tribalism between AEW with fans saying, WWE sucks. The tribalism with WWE fans when they say AEW sucks. But there's a portion of people in the middle who's like, well, hey guys, what about us? We like both. The system is built that way. It's built that way. WWE has indoctrined us. They have taught us. They have conditioned us to like a certain style of pro wrestling. WWE went unchecked from 2001 to 2019. Right? What's that? 18 years? WWE went unchecked. So for 18 years is a long time for you to see something and for you to look at something. I'm like, yeah, that's wrestling. But there was a fraction of the fans who said, you know what? Yeah, that's wrestling, but there's more to wrestling than that. The WWE is only showing you a part of the iceberg. There's so much more underneath the water. And then 18 years later came AEW. Out of all that, I don't think that AEW would be what it is today if WCW didn't go out of business, if ECW didn't go out of business, if TNA didn't try, if companies like CZW and GCW never came along. AEW said, you know what? We understand that there's more to pro wrestling than putting smiles on people's faces, right? We understand that there's more to pro wrestling than, than the smoke and the mirrors. We understand that you want more, and we're going to create that place. And that's where the alternative elite wrestling comes in. That's where Johnny coined it. I don't think I need more, but I'm excited to see more. I don't think I could sit through a whole entire bloodbath from 7 p.m. until 11 p.m. But you know what? I'll take a match like that again. Yeah, definitely. Heel Vega says, I hope Goldberg makes his debut. Bro, you don't like me? You don't like me or what? Heel Vega says, people should try and enjoy both. You'd be surprised what you like. Everybody should be open-minded. Bro, I'm surprised that on paper I judged Hangman and MJF's match. But when I watched the match, I'm like, I watched this. I liked it. Austin Roberts says that WWE isn't violent enough and sometimes AEW's too much. You're right. Sometimes there's a little bit too much and sometimes there's a little bit too less. And I think that as long as AEW stays within their lane and just do what they do, and AEW as long as WWE and AEW both stay in their lane and do what they do, I think that everything will be okay. I think I missed some chats up there. Let's see. Heel Vega says, talking about the shirt, mine is on the way. Everybody join the Discord channel and claim your discount. Heel Vega, he's like the caretaker of the Discord. I own the Discord, and he's just the caretaker. He's the guy that shows up and makes sure that the grass is cut and that the sidewalk is swept up and that the house still looks nice. So when you guys go there, Heel Vega is that guy. If you need the discount, I will put it out, or Heel Vega will put it out. Join the Discord. It's in the link. It is free. Johnny said, what if I want to be day 365? Wait, maybe I missed a thing. Johnny said, smartphones and social media can be more detrimental to young kids' growth than AEW matches.
Yeah!
You're right. Bro, social media is detrimental to me as a 40-year-old man sometimes, right? Sometimes, like, there's an app, right, called YouTube Studio. And with the YouTube Studio app, it gives me the ability to respond to all of the comments that people put on videos in real time. And sometimes I got to delete the app because sometimes I'm like, oh my God, the phone's making noise again. Because I feel that I should try to respond to every message that I get. And I feel that other channels aren't doing that, right? So why not give everybody a place to where they can feel included? But then sometimes you go in there and you see a negative comment. And I always tell people in the negative comment, sometimes there's a lot of truth. And sometimes a negative comment is a person being a Richard. But then you go in there and you see that, your number's at 900 and whatever subscribers I got now. And then I look an hour later and the number's gone down. And then I go, oh my God, am I doing something wrong? Delete the app. I'm not doing something wrong. It could have been a bot, right? Somebody who used a computer program to sign up and YouTube goes, that's not a legit account, get rid of it. Or it could have been somebody who decided that, you know what, I'm no longer for them, and that's okay. If you decide I'm not no longer for you, here's what I'm saying. You know what, I hope I'm for you later on. I hope that what this channel could bring later on is something that could be for you. So yeah, I still want to know what Cherokee, Lacey, and Pinky is, Johnny. Johnny, I'm asking you this. Is Cherokee, Pinky, and Lacey what I think it is? Answer that in the chat. Heel Vega says that TNA tried, but it didn't work, especially once Hogan and Bischoff ruined them and damn near bankrupted TNA.
Yeah!
Austin Roberts said, to me, WWE was great in Ruthless Aggression era. When they became PG, it kind of lost me. I still watch, but I don't like PG. It makes it feel too cartoonish. Yeah.
Thank you!
DR Rice says, I like the Moxley to Kushida match, but that pay-per-view was way too long. Austin Roberts says, Discord, I need to get in. Yeah, bro, the link is in the description. Join the Discord. Yeah, join the Discord. Why not? Come on in. I'm waiting for ya. I think I'm going to make a video game section as well, too, in the Discord, because I know there's a lot of us that like video games. But speaking about that match, right? To get ready to take this show home. That's more looking at the match, right? With the glass, the barbed wire, the light tubes. That's more than I need to enjoy my wrestling. There was a point that the crowd was chanting. If you couldn't hear what the crowd was chanting, I should have. I could have saved that. I should have saved it so I can play it. They were chanting, "We want fire." Not fired. They were talking about fire. Not fire. They were talking about fire. Like they want somebody to get burned. That's what they got. They wanted a chemical reaction that has oxygen, that has fuel and chemical. They wanted all of that. I'm like, oh, these people crazy. I was like, these people savage. But I'm like, I ain't gonna lie. I was like, I'm telling you, from the viewpoint that I was watching that match, I watched it this morning. From the viewpoint that I was watching the match, and everybody was chanting, "We want fire," the person was holding the phone. They recorded it from the audience. And I'm sitting around, I'm like, y'all want fire? You guys are crazy as F. Yeah, I want fire too. I want fire. I want to see it. I want to see it. It's like a bad car accident, right? I used to be a firefighter. And sometimes you see a real bad accident. And it's like, it's one of those things you'd be like, you know, let me go see. There's a time, being a firefighter that people, unfortunately, have become deceased for whatever reason. There was one time I had an automatic alarm where the alarm is going off and we don't know why, so we just have to go figure out why 911 gets called and we go. And then when I go, the cops stop me at the front door, goes, there's no fire here. It got set off because of gunshot residue and the smoke from the firearm turned on the smoke detector. They go, you don't want to go in there, but you're all good. A part of me goes, I just want to look one time. That's why I want to see the fire. I just want to see it. I might not watch all the way. I might cover my eyes, but I just want to see it. The people that came to the AEW event, that's what they came for. I think that's the promise that AEW silently delivers. I'm being 100% honest about this. If AEW stopped doing that, if AEW stepped on the brake and said, we're not doing this anymore, they would start cheating their audience. If AEW says that we are no longer going to do the deathmatch style matches, they will disenfranchise their audience and people will stop watching AEW altogether. This is what AEW needs, right? This isn't AEW versus WWE. Understand that. Understand what I'm saying. This is not AEW versus WWE. But for us people that watch WWE a lot, we see AEW as different. For those people that watch AEW a lot, they see WWE as different. But listen to me when I'm telling you this. Different doesn't mean bad. Some fans enjoy both. Some fans prefer one over the other. That is totally normal. The way I'm looking at WWE versus AEW, when I mean versus, I'm talking about comparison. We're doing a juxtaposition, right? WWE is just like Cartoon Network. WWE is literally for anybody. I can show my 3-year-old WWE and not have to worry about, I don't have to explain too much. I won't get a daddy, why is he bleeding? I won't get that. But AEW, AEW is like Adult Swim. It hangs out later, it's raw, and it's not for everyone. AEW, if WWE and AEW came on in one night, it's like, I don't know if some of y'all know, right? In the black community, I'm not sure if any other communities do this, but when there's a kids party, after the kids party, you put the kids to bed and you come down, you have the adult party. The kids party is WWE. But AEW, we hang out late. We are raw. And this ain't for the kids. And you know what? This might not, even though it's not for the kids and it's for everybody, it might not be for everybody. Why? Because this might just be a little bit too much. Austin Roberts says, the match was great, most of it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah!
Johnny says, do you think Darby has surpassed Jeff Hardy and Mick Foley in regards to his recklessness. You know what, Johnny? When I saw that match, I was like, yo, bro, Jeff Hardy don't even do that. Look, learn from Jeff Hardy. Learn from Jeff Hardy. But I'll say this, though. This is the kind of wrestling that Darby Allin did that brought him to the dance, that brought him to AEW. Why change now? Austin Roberts says, I like that when AEW has no holds barred or steel cage death matches, they're actually violent and bloody. Yeah. Jey Uso, Austin also says, Jey Uso dancing on top of the War Games cage is just as silly as the syringe.
Yeah!
Johnny said, Johnny5985, and Johnny never seen him before. Join the Discord. All you guys join the Discord. I like the stuff that you guys are saying today. Austin, I don't think you're in the Discord either. Jump in the Discord. Once you jump in the Discord, I'll give you your badge as like a day one. Anybody that logs in and joins the Discord after 1,000, you're not going to be marked day one. There's going to be a special day one group where only the day ones get to hang out. You can still hang out in the main rooms, but once you're going to be day one, you're day one for life. Johnny says that WWE is the Avengers and AEW is the boys. The boys from Amazon Prime. I get that. Looking at the poll. Damn, it's still deadlocked in the middle. Is deathmatch wrestling too much for AEW? It's a deadlock, three-way tie. I've never seen this before. It depends on the story. Know if it's part of the appeal. And yes, some people think that it crosses the line. I started watching this match by thinking, you know what? This match isn't for me. What kind of bullcrap am I going to be watching today? A couple minutes into the match, maybe like 5 minutes into the match, I realized I finally get AEW. I get it and I got it. I understand why AEW does this. And I respect it. You know what? There might be parts of it that cross the line for me. There may be parts of me that have been trained that this is not what wrestling is supposed to be. But all I got to say to everybody that loves AEW and to AEW themselves, just do you. Well, thank you so much, guys, for hanging out for another episode of the Tristan Law Show. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Don't make this be your little dirty secret. Make sure you continue to watch more videos on social media and share this with your friends and family. Take the URL right now. Take the website address. Share it with somebody. I appreciate you then, now, and forever. I'm Tristan Law. This is the Tristan Law Show, and I'll see you next time.
Windowless ride, feeling alive, nothing in sight, forever in flight. Follow those lines, we're making this time blur.